Sometimes you don't realize how blessed you are to be living in 2020 until you realize what people had to deal with before. For the first time in about 5 years, I had to deal with HTML 1.0. So for those of you that don't know, HTML 1.0, hypertext markup language 1.0, is what the web was originally written on back in the day, back in the 90s. We're on HTML 5.0 right now. So whereas the original internet was really built off of tables and everything had to be in tables, nowadays nobody uses tables anymore except when they actually need a table. So the first unintended consequence of this long fast just started, and that's that I'm constantly cold. I have the AC set to 22 degrees. It's the end of June going into July. So I shouldn't be shivering. I don't know if that's a good thing. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We're gonna do some research on it though. Generally, right now, the process is far easier. There is a streamlined way that you get everything written out in HTML. And the way this works is generally pretty fluid. Anybody who's worked with it for longer than, I want to say, a few weeks understands the process, and you can learn this really quickly. The problem is that with email, you're relegated back to the HTML 1.0 days because most email clients can't render out even basic like modern components. So stuff like margins, stuff like divs, stuff like sections, none of that stuff exists, which means I went into a full panic. At this point, it's not the hunger anymore. Like, I don't feel hungry at all, which is a little bit strange. I think what really kills me is the boredom. And it's the boredom of not cooking, which is super weird because I used to hate cooking, but especially now that you're stuck inside all the time with yourself, one of the easiest ways to have time pass is just to cook, and I really do miss it. So it is rough, but we only got a few more hours left to go, so I cannot wait until I can eat again. The problem is, it's not too complicated, it's just really messy. So each one of these lines, essentially for each element, you have to really think about how you're going to display things in that table. This is the layout itself. It is somewhat responsive, but you can see, fairly simple. I'm sure if you've ever worked with HTML before, you realize that this could be far improved. And yeah, it could be. This is the beginning stages. The issue now is that all of this has to be built in a table-based layout, and it has to conform to email dimensions. So what would have taken me, I'm guessing around half an hour to an hour, has taken me over 4 hours to just get to this point. And it's gonna take me another 4 or 5 hours to get it responsive. The good part is once I do it once, I never have to touch it again. It'll be responsive, it'll be flexible, and it will work across any email client ever because everybody supports HTML 1.0 elements. So, Terry, it's the middle of the day. Well, it's actually the end of the day, even more so. Why did you change shirts? Because I was sweating through the long sleeve I was wearing. So I put on a couple extra layers and I thought that might solve the issue. It did. I felt really comfortable through most of the day, even though it was like 25 inside and like 28 outside. But I just broke fast. Small victories. But I feel awful, which isn't what I expected. I thought that after breaking fast, I would feel really good, but it's literally been the opposite. Like, I feel uncomfortably full. I have like a mild headache. I'm really warm now for some reason. And I just feel lethargic. Like all I want to do is like pass out at this point. This is really causing me to question like, have I been eating too much? Is fasting like more often a good thing? Beforehand, I'd heard from both sides of the camp. Some of my friends had said, Terry, don't do this. You're gonna screw yourself over. The other side, I have friends who are like, yeah, you know, like, I've had real benefits from fasting, like real benefits. I doubted both sides a little bit. So after now, I have I think a healthy level of skepticism with the whole thing, but I am definitely going to go back to at least, what's it called? Crap. Well, I forgot what it's called. intermittent fasting. I'm definitely gonna be going back to intermittent fasting at least. And I'm definitely gonna have at least one of these long fasts. I don't even know if this counts as a long fast, but I'm gonna have at least one of these 36-hour ones like every month. I think it does really help you, and I think like I felt good during it, but I'm definitely gonna have to manage like the first meal I eat afterwards better. I can't just be cooking up 2 chicken thighs with nothing else and then randomly putting mustard on top. That's not really a meal.